everyone, I'm Alex and I'm the hands behind Lovecraft Crochet. My plushies are for the anxious, depressed, autistic, and neurodivergent. Small enough to travel in a purse, backpack, diaper bag, or even your pocket. You can check out my Facebook page or TikTok to see what patterns are available and stay tuned for the new ones coming out. I also make hats, scarves, blankets, and dice bags for the tabletop gamer or dice goblin in your life. Feel free to order through the page, TikTok DMs, or via email at love.craft.crochet@gmail.com. Now, on to the segment.
Due to the graphic and disturbing nature of the crimes discussed, listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to... No, I should actually say what you fucking wrote.
Go for it.
AJ's words verbatim. Hello and welcome to Killing 15 Minutes, specifically the AJ Files. The special episodes where I, Sam Rossi, don't rate the show like usual, but instead read about a case we usually wouldn't cover as written by the normal host of this show, Arthur Joseph.
How dare you use my government name? Also, that's supposed to actually be read as hell and welcome. Because I knew that you were going to be upset after the first one.
We're not going to discuss the first one.
I hope you guys have listened to the first one.
Yeah, because I'm going to give you this particular paragraph about it, and we're going to move on. Where I can rant a little bit more about the injustice of this fucking world. In the previous episode, we examined how Jeffrey Epstein built power through proximity, wealth, and credibility. This episode is going to begin with when the power he built was finally challenged. Not by journalists, not by institutions, certainly not by morality, but by victims in a local police department in Palm Beach, Florida. This is the episode where the system will be tested and failed. And that was dark as hell, bro.
Well, reading about Epstein, it's not light in puppies, although I'm sure he gave puppies to his 11-year-old victims.
And now you understand why I had to start a new show after Ted Kaczynski.
Speaking of, in May, Sporting 15 Minutes shows up.
Well, you announced it. Anyways, cases against Epstein didn't begin in the 2000s. Maria Farmer would have reportedly gone to both the NYPD and the FBI. The FBI... Federal Dick...
I would have just said Federal Department of Investigation, because that also would be the FBI.
About Epstein's sexual assault, which she had reported at the time would become the MO for Epstein and his operation, except neither of the law enforcement agencies would follow up on a report. March 15th, 2025.
No, a little bit earlier.
2005. I should have remembered that one only because, I graduated.
That meant you were too old.
Palm Beach police received a report from a mother that her 14-year-old stepdaughter had been lured to Epstein's mansion and paid $300 to strip and give Epstein a massage. He then would attempt to use a vibrator on her during the interaction. Dude, we've talked about these.
I know. We actually have a lot of serial killers and, assaulters.
Yep.
Sexual assaulters that would, because they weren't getting anything off of their penis, it would be vibrator or their fingers.
Okay.
Which I don't think actually really pertains to this, because he also did use his penis several times.
That's a different story. Anyways, we're going to get off of what he actually... I don't need to know what he did on the details portion.
Oh, you're going to love this. No, don't worry. Don't worry, we quote the... You just continue reading.
According to the probable cause affidavit, she didn't know his full name, just that his name was Jeff at the time, but was able to point him out of a lineup of photos later. This initial report led to a probe investigation into Jeffrey Epstein and his assistant, Sarah Keller and Haley Robson, who was a high schooler and was paid to lure other girls to the mansion. Yes, there's a minor discussion that Robson was also a victim of Epstein, but we'll gloss over that for now. The sexual battery investigation into Epstein lasts from March 2005 to February of 2006. And with 5 victims and 17 witnesses, they were able to indict him.
I would also like to point out that I was actually able to read the probable cause affidavit. It was up online before the Epstein files were somewhat released, which, hey, federal crime, they're still breaking the fact that they're not releasing them in the way that they were meant to be released, or even releasing all of them. You want to know the great thing about looking at the probable cause affidavit, especially after the initial Epstein file release?
Huh.
It shows exactly how you're supposed to fucking redact something to protect the victim. You erase the victim's name. That's it. Maybe their address if it shows up in the document. But that's it. You keep in the who did what to. You keep in the attackers' names. You keep in the suspect's name. What you don't keep in is the victim's name,
victim's address, and any identifying things to the victim.
Yes. But that's where suddenly you've got 14 pages of redaction other than, Bill Clinton's name. And it's like, hey, sure, Bill's in there. We've all agreed on this. And no Democrat has ever turned around and gone, not our Bill. Because guess what? Over the last 30 years, guess what we've all known? Yeah, that's Bill. Thank you.
Although then state prosecutor Dave Christner?
Barry?
Oh, what'd I say?
Dave!
Is Dave anywhere on this page?
I don't believe there's a Dave involved in the case at all, actually. Barry!
Okay.
That's not
is it
dyslexia.
Kreischer? What is it?
I think it's Kreischer.
Okay.
But it could also be Kreischer.
I'm going to go with Kreischer because that sounds better.
Okay.
The then state prosecutor, Barry Kreischer, sent it to a grand jury, which is not just unusual, but Florida only used the grand jury in capital crimes. Okay, that's weird.
Read the next sentence.
For those that don't know, capital crimes are when the death penalty is on the table. Otherwise, the state attorney files directly. Want to know why Kreischer chose this option? Because it lessened everything for Jeffrey Epstein.
Because if he had to because as a grand jury thing, one, sexual battery is never a death penalty thing.
Yet.
There's also, but you could also argue if it's sexual battery that becomes something worse, or if you got human trafficking charges, that might be a capital case. However, right now, all he was being charged with was soliciting a minor and possibly indecent actions with a minor, maybe some endangerment. But point is all of these, while some of them might be felonies, none of them were capital crimes.
Okay.
But
makes sense.
Because if he had to file directly, he had to go with the charges that were placed against Epstein. Changing it into a capital crime means that he gets to turn around and say, oh, we're only going to charge him with solicitation. Sorry, continue. I just spoiled it.
Using a grand jury ensured that the proceedings, including the names of those involved and the details of the accusations, were kept secret. So public scrutiny was out. It also meant they could destroy the character of the victims directly in cross-examining, such as verified ways they used the social media activity to hurt testimony. And of course, it meant that all this can be swayed to have the grand jury return a much more lenient sentence, and boy, it was.
But that's what actually pisses me off more about it. Not necessarily the grand jury, because I think ultimately I like grand jury cases. I hate when it becomes about character. He's a wealthy businessman. She posts fucking troll pictures on her MySpace. This was 2005. Facebook. No, she might have still had a MySpace.
Facebook wasn't around in 2005.
I thought it started around 2003, 2004.
No.
I had a Facebook in high school.
Right,
but I can't remember when I started. I had my MySpace until high school. But that's when everyone moved away from it.
Yeah, I got a Facebook back in...
Anyways, we're missing the point. The point is they pretty much gave it to a grand jury so that way you could have the defense going, but weren't you wearing lacy underpants? You can't be raped. Sorry, that is a UK case that actually was a fucking thing, and it's fucking disgusting. But it's that sort of thing where it's like, but you're smiling in this picture, and you said that he assaulted you, hours earlier, or something like that, where it's like, this stupid thing where it's just stupid. And honestly, I think, well, we'll get to it. There's some more stupidity.
Epstein got one charge to stick. Solicitation of prostitution.
No, just solicitation of prostitution.
Not solicitation of a minor or even sexual harassment. Just that he got charged with was essentially is used nearly exclusively for people caught trying to pick up a hooker on 42nd Street. It's bullshit to the highest level.
See Cary Grant, solicitation of prostitution, which is not the same thing as I asked a 12-year-old to blow me. I'm also really pissed off because apparently he up to $1,000 for sex. I'm sorry, $1,000, especially if you're going to break the law. You know what? This is just going to turn into a horrible thing. Continue.
Next. Well, it will be to the highest level because July of 2006, the feds got involved. That's right. The FBI starts their own investigation into called Operation Leap Year. It certainly starts promising since Epstein's legal team did try to get the feds to stop their investigation so Epstein could just have his own solicitation charge and be done with it. But nope, they pressed on. Though in May of 2007, the 60-count indictment was put together and filed by federal prosecutor Maria Villafana.
Villafana is how I assume.
Also, a note was 800 plus pages, a prosecution memo to her superiors.
Prosecution memo to her superiors.
I just said that.
My name is Sister Mary Clarence. I don't know why that popped into my head.
Alda, turn up your hearing aid.
Sam, put on your glasses.
I need to go and get new ones before I start school in September. August, July. Where were we? They pressed on, and yes. I'm sorry, did I say file? Yeah. AJ said, you wrote file, so I said file.
This is a communication thing. So you go, oh, I'm sorry, did I say file? Yeah, AJ, you wrote file. You get to be a bitch to me in this sentence. Acting.
In a perfect world, because nope. The U.S. attorney in Florida at the time, Alexander Acosta, the Secretary of Labor under Trump's first term, that's 2017 to 2019. Yeah, he's been having continual meetings with Epstein's lawyer, and a plea deal is struck behind the backs of basically everyone. This non-prosecution agreement was immunity, not just to Epstein, but to, at the time, 4 named co-conspirators, and to use the verbiage, any potentially unnamed co-conspirators. In return, he'd plead guilty to the solicitation of a prostitution.
You keep saying it.
I don't know, solicitation of a minor and get 18 months of jail, be a registered sex offender, and pay restitution to named victims in the indictment. This was, and to this day, still the biggest of BS's.
That was at least supposed to sound like that.
I understand. I'm having a moment because I want to go bitch slap somebody. I'm unnaturally raging right now. I feel like you when it involves little boys. No, when it involves.
No, I understand. This is
little kids too, but I'm more usually when it's.
No,
the boys.
I understand. This is very much one of those things where you should be mad, and the fact that then we're coming up onto what is the 20th anniversary of when he was first charged or first.
We just passed the when they started doing the investigation.
I know
20 years ago, yeah.
2020 or 2005.
Okay. One of the major things this did was actually shut down the probe into Epstein's partners and finding out more victims. The investigation wasn't over when this deal was struck. But honestly, hearing Maria Valafana about this case is jaw-dropping in the level of, no, you shut up and know your place, coming from Acosta and her supervisors. Woosah. Woosah. It's all taking place under W. It's all taking place under W.
I know. However, to be fair,
I don't picture W going to the island.
see, here's the thing. W has never been linked to Epstein Island, at least, because a lot of people just focus on the flight logs. No one goes with, oh, hey, these people were in Manhattan at the same time Epstein was, or where did they stay? Oh, they stayed at Epstein's Manhattan mansion. Everyone just focuses on the flight logs because it's very easy. Honestly, I think everyone focuses on the flight logs for one major reason.
Hardcore evidence.
No.
It's not guessing.
No.
No?
I think, honestly, and this is not me defending red hats in any way. This is not me defending Republicans in any way.
Okay.
The story broke not because Epstein was Epstein, but because Trump was Trump. So even when the Wall Street Journal did a phenomenal, truly spectacular, they have their own website. It's behind a paywall, so fuck them. But it's a really good looking website that lists all the evidence that came out publicly and all the stuff that they were able to investigate into it. It's a really good piece of document that came out before the Epstein files. In fact, it's what Trump used for Epstein Phase 1 when he was still pretending that he cared about the victims, or at least cared about prosecuting Epstein. But then he found out, oh shit, I could actually go to jail for this. Everyone shut the fuck up about it. So anyways, but I think the major focus on the flight logs was because it was public information.
Yes.
And you're able to see Trump's on the list.
Yes.
That sort of thing. I think that's why it became focused solely on one Epstein Island without any mention of any of his properties elsewhere or a second island.
Right.
So I think that's why it became the flight logs.
Okay, I actually see what you're saying and it makes sense.
They found a good piece of evidence. It is a good piece of evidence.
Great piece of evidence. I'm not arguing that.
But one, it's circumstantial. Like you can
prove that they were there, but you can't prove they did anything.
You can prove that they were on an Epstein flight.
Okay.
That does not mean that they took the Lolita Express to the island.
Okay.
Although a lot of people keep forgetting that you don't need a direct flight between wherever and the island. No, there's boats, man.
You got boats.
Party barges exist.
I will be honest. If I had my own island, I wouldn't make it where the only way you're getting there is by boat.
I know. That would be the most logical solution.
Especially if you're breaking the fucking law.
Well, that's why I think a lot of people also don't realize there is the second island, because I think most of the crime happened on the less public second island.
I will agree with that.
Because the second island was pretty much you could only really go by boat. Allegedly, as so far as I've been able to discern without being able to read anything. The problem with a lot of these crimes is I get about a week to research them.
No, you took a little bit longer on this one. So also to note is that since 2008, when this sweetheart deal went through, most everybody with legal integrity has talked about how it was a sham. It was poorly handled. It was a lopsided plea. And the secret of a plea deal is that most of the time, outside of when you want to protect someone of power anyways, it's designed to be able to still have a case at the end, and it wasn't over. The feds are still doing their thing, and Acosta's cut the legs out from everyone. Also, reading several different legal takes on this, the fact that while at the time, the potential conspirator, any potential conspirator was downright weird.
It was weird, Tiffy.
It was weird and unusual.
It was serious.
It was serious?
Yes.
The phone is ringing. Okay. I'm going to remove this anyway. So the other day I was listening to the drunk voice messages this guy gets from his wife.
Okay.
And one of them was her singing that. The phone is ringing. There's an animal in trouble. There's an animal in trouble. She goes, not sober her, but hungover her goes, I was the animal in trouble. Sorry, that's just what went through my head.
No, it's funny.
On a state level, they had 3 people that were being accused. It was only on the federal level that they were finding more conspirators and other people involved in hurting children. And while the talking point about it was at the time, it was Epstein trying to cover up for his 4 unnamed assistants and a mysterious woman they could not rightly link to it, but she was at least named by a victim. Ultimately, the verbiage was any potential conspirator.
And that's what pisses me off about it more. By the way, I believe the unnamed woman was Giselle, or Ghislaine Maxwell, because they started dating, I believe, 2006. No, sorry, they broke up in 2006-ish. However, she would still be a business partner and associate. I don't really talk about her.
She has her own issues.
She does, but...
She's in Club Fed.
They gave her a fucking dog. She's not even in Club Fed. She's in fucking pretty much an apartment now. Yeah.
All right. Next time someone tells me Donald Trump is hard on crime, I'm going to look at the people he's pardoned and who he's moved the fuck around. Because God fucking damn it, why the...
Sis. You don't want to bitch about that. You want to bitch about Trump having, several months ago, pardoned the Honduras president who was arrested for drug trafficking.
Found guilty of 100,000 pounds of cocaine.
Well, that's also the problem with Venezuela. Guess what?
I think I'm having an aneurysm.
Fentanyl and coke. The two major... Hold on. Fentanyl and meth are the two leading drug problems in the U.S. right now. But none of it comes out of Venezuela. Venezuela is cocaine. Is there a cocaine problem? Yes.
But that's for the middle class.
That's exactly it. He's continuing to hurt the middle class.
See, here's my...
It's about oil, but like everything Trump does, he's doing what other presidents did, but worse. Okay? You're supposed to invade over there for oil. You don't invade 500 miles away from the U.S. I know it's probably a little bit longer.
Yeah, because it's 3,000 miles to California, and I think they're closer. I think they're a little bit further away from us.
They're just on the other side of Mexico, Sam.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how long Mexico... Maybe 1,000 miles? 15? Mexico's not
Look
as
it up.
Doesn't matter.
I want to know now. I want to know now.
We're talking about Epstein.
We're going to talk more about Epstein. I just want to know now.
You know, if we actually did this as 15-minute episodes, this might actually be an 8-parter. How far away is Venezuela from the United States? It's hundreds of thousands of miles from... Okay. Oh, you're actually kind of right. The closest point is near Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, with major flight routes from U.S. mainland, like Miami to Caracas, covering about 2,500 to 3,000 miles.
See?
However, let's lump this back. The U.S. Virgin Islands... You want to know who else had an island in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
Of course he did.
That was where Epstein Island was.
I know.
So you really want to get into it? Hey, is Marudo on the list?
Ooh. I didn't think of that.
We know that Trump is doing a lot of what he's doing to hide the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Legally, he can't hide them anymore, so he has to make other things that are bigger priorities. No one's going to care about what's happening with the Epstein thing if we're suddenly at war with Venezuela.
I still can't believe we're at war.
Or Greenland. Or if fucking ICE agents in Minneapolis are starting to shoot people because they didn't stop their car right enough. Sorry, I'm actually really pissed off that happened today. Or yesterday. Today is January 7th when we record this. Anyways, let's get back to Epstein. This is lighter news.
But truly the most significant failure was that the victims weren't informed of the agreement either. They were not consulted. They were not notified. Most, if not all of them, found out through the media that their cases meant fucking nothing. But hey, in 2019, U.S. District Judge Kenneth A. Mara did find in a 33-page ruling that the prosecutors did in fact break the Criminal Victims' Rights Act and was backed up by an appeals judge too. And guess why we can now be extra salty about this? Because Barry Edwards, the representative of 2 of Epstein's victims, successfully sued to have the terms be made public. Seriously, the backlash against the cushy plea wasn't known until the late 2010s.
That's also what pisses me off too, is he actually had to legally get it so that it became a FOIA. That's Freedom of Information Act thing, where it can be made public so everyone can see just how much bullshit Alexander Acosta did.
So yeah, the immunity of the crimes he did that were actually bad. And yes, AJ is crashing out while writing this because he didn't even get 18 months of jail. He got his own private wing of the Palm Beach County Stockade, and after 3 months was allowed to on a work release program. He literally went to work at his lush West Palm Beach office for 12 hours a day, and then would go back to jail to go to bed. And even that isn't true, as he essentially could come and go whenever he wanted. Extra fun fact. I'm not sure I'm going to like this fun fact.
You're not. No one is.
Right before going into prison, he started a non-profit business, which he personally paid for the staff and deputies that monitored him.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a goddamn guest book.
He had the fucking corrections officers that were monitoring him in suits. They were doormen. You know what made me stop crashing out on this? Finishing the script. But secondly, remember, it ends with him dead. That doesn't actually help anyone, as he died before.
What's funny is that, him being dead and 2 people being charged for his murder and still to suicide.
Well, the 2 people that were charged was the corrections officers.
Yes.
They were supposed to guard him. They were being charged with more accessory or aiding and abetting rather than...
So they're charged with aiding and abetting on a murder that's still ruled suicide.
Episode 4, Sam. It's episode 4.
Sorry. After 13 months, he was released on probation, but you'll never guess how that worked. He was able to take personal trips to Manhattan and the Virgin Islands and basically wasn't a thing. Similarly, the whole sex offender thing, not really a big deal either. On one hand, he did have to stay at a level 3 sex offender in New York State, his home state, despite his lawyers claiming that his main residence was in the Virgin Islands. However, New York never enforced the 90 days check-in clause, which is a felony. No, this isn't a Chekhov's gun thing. That's just, they never did it. God damn it, Andy Cuomo, what the fuck?
I don't think that was a governor.
Yes, he was.
Well, no, I'm assuming he was governor, but I don't think that's a governor thing. I think that's although he probably was very much a friend. Cuomo's... Andy Cuomo was that guy.
The outcome of this investigation sent a message to Epstein, to institutions, to victims. It said the power could negotiate reality, that evidence could be sidelined, and that accountability could be reduced to an inconvenience. Most importantly, it allowed Epstein to continue, not just living freely and without a care, but continue recruiting, traveling, and expanding his operations. Epstein should have been stopped in Palm Beach. The evidence, the victims, the opportunity was all there on a silver platter. Instead, the system chose containment over confrontation. And the next episode will examine what happened after Epstein's first conviction and how a network of enablers allowed him to operate in plain sight for more years.
So before Sam crashes out, we're going to end the episode there. Please follow us on socials so you can complain about us being too liberal or too right-wing or not talking about enough information on who his enablers were and who his partners were. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, do all the stuff that appeases a great algorithm. If you want to hear this unedited, and believe me, I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of crash out that gets deleted, you want to definitely check out our Patreon where you get to hear it unedited, and these are not going to be monetized. So please, we need the money. And also, go over to YouTube, look up Killing 15 Minutes. We have our show restarted over there, kind of, where we actually have visuals and everything like that, but we started at the very, very beginning. I'm also the one editing them instead of Sam, and boy howdy, I understand why Sam went to the nut house after 3 seasons of that. I'm AJ Carey.
I'm Sam Rossi. Later, y'all!
on carrying on.
CAREY. Because
Carry On Production.